Thank you for joining us this evening for the June 3rd, 2025 Monte Sereno regular city council meeting. Before the meeting is called to order, I'd like to point out a few house rules to assist council members, staff, and members of the public to successfully participate in this meeting. For tonight's meeting, Zoom is being used to allow public participation with the regular city council meeting. For those using Zoom to participate, there are two icons, chat and raise hand. Please use chat only to report technical issues such as being unable to hear a council member speaking. Please use raise hand to be recognized by the mayor and able to speak to the council. Only attendees using the Zoom application can use the raise hand option and to comment. Participants calling in from a telephone will only be able to listen and cannot provide feedback or public comment. Lastly, when we're not all in the same room, all votes in the meeting must be taken by roll call.
And that brings us right to 7 o'clock. Thank you very much. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. And would everybody please stand so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shannon. Here. Councilmember Mekachuk.
Present.
Vice Mayor Alahi.
Present.
Mayor Craig.
Present also.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the orders of the day, and I'd like to change a couple of things around. If we could, I would like to move item number, what we at here?
6.
6, I think, right? Yeah, I'd like to move item number 6 to right after oral communications. And then right after that, would like to do item number 7. So we'll move 6 and 7 right after, and then we'll go back to the consent calendar and the rest of the items. Okay? Okay. So with that, is there anybody who has any announcements or presentations or anything? Okay, so that takes us to oral communications at this point. Any member of the audience can speak for 3 minutes about any item that is not on the agenda. And I see a hand up. Come on up and say hello to us. Growl.
Well, I sent the council actually 2 letters. As you probably know, our member on the board of supervisors, Margaret Avi Koga, was basically shut down by Caltrans when she approached them about cutting down the eucalyptus trees. Because, oh, no, this is scenic Highway 9. And so if there are fires there, and if a couple hundred residents are killed because of the cul-de-sacs or something, that's too bad. So I think we need more political horsepower. Our assemblyperson Gail Pellerin is working on this. I understand that our member of Congress, Sam Ricardo, is, and I think we have to get our state senator involved too, because I think Caltrans is only going to listen to the people to fund them. And I think that, well, I sent a picture of, when besides the fire thing, when a tree goes down, Highway 9 is impassable. So I would just, I don't know if anybody in the council has a relationship with the state senators for our district 13 and 15, but I would encourage the council to look into putting the pressure on Caltrans, and Caltrans will have to listen to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mike, come on.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Frangidakis, longtime resident of Monte Sereno. I've been here over 40 years. I have 3 quick items. One, I was working with Steve Leonardis. I am the founder and president emeritus of the Los Gatos Veterans and Memorial Foundation. And I know we were talking about doing one here. And as a commissioner for Santa Clara County, there's only 2 municipalities that do not have any kind of a memorial to its veterans. And haven't been able to figure out why they are the 2 most affluent communities in Santa Clara County, and the only ones that don't have anything, not even a park bench. And the other one is Los Altos Hills. So it's Monte Sereno and Los Altos Hills do not have a tribute to their veterans. I know they have a tribute to the founder who was a veteran, but not their veterans. So I'd like to continue that and be involved with whoever took Steve's place so we can move forward and do something here. Doesn't have to be a big deal. I'll raise the money if we need it, and let's do something. That's item 1. 2, I live at the corner, I don't live at the corner, I live on Blanchard, but on the corner of Blanchard and Winchester is a blind spot. And I've almost been in accidents twice, and I almost hit a biker. The weeds keep growing up. Now, I have to complain all the time. I can't see the bike lane, and so you have to pull out on the bike lane. If there's a biker coming, he's gonna hit the car. I'm surprised we haven't had an accident. And the other problem is cars don't see us, so at night when there's no lights and you pull out, there's gonna be another smash up. I almost got hit by a guy with no lights because I didn't see him at night. He had his lights off, so I pulled out. He would have smashed me and that'd have been the end of me problems. So that's item number 2. And the third item is, I was told by one of the council members that there's a vacancy till December on the council. I'd like to throw my hat in the ring for that.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, anybody else? Come on up.
Good evening, council. My name is Juliet Pasquale, and I'm the Community Outreach Specialist at Silicon Valley Clean Energy. And I'm here tonight to talk about the Community Impact Report in front of you all, which Monte Sereno, as a member agency of Silicon Valley Clean Energy, has enjoyed this impact for 2024. As I'm sure you are all aware, Silicon Valley Clean Energy is the local electricity provider for Monte Sereno, in addition to 12 other towns and cities here in Santa Clara County. We buy the clean power that PG&E delivers to over 96% of our residents and businesses here in our service area. And since our inception in 2016, we have invested nearly $4 billion in renewable energy and energy storage, helping advance the statewide transition to a clean energy grid. And as a quick shout out, of course, we have a great board of directors, and we are thankful for Council Member Brian Mekachuk's leadership as a director, as well as Council Member Lisa Shannon's support as an alternate director. And again, to reference the 2024 impact reports, I'm happy to share that in the last year, Monte Sereno residents have saved almost $100,000 on their energy bills. And this savings number grows to more than $500,000 of savings on their energy bills during SVCE's lifetime. So this is what the handout looks like. If it's okay, I can leave some over there if any members of the public would be interested in grabbing one. And of course, despite our savings, we know that many people struggle to pay for their energy bills. So in addition to our standard discount for all of our customers, we offer additional discounts to low-income customers to reduce bills by an additional 20%. And of course, our mission as an agency is to reduce overall carbon emissions for our service area. So we also offer rebates of to our residents of over $8,000 for anyone that is willing to switch over from gas appliances and equipment to electric technology. And again, I can provide more information on that. It's on the handout. And that is all I have for this evening. So thank you so much for your attention. We encourage anyone listening in to grab a handout or visit our website at svcleanenergy.org. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else wishing to speak during oral communications? Seeing none, I'll move to written communications, and I see we have a few pieces of written communication. Is that correct?
Yes, so we actually, yes, so we received, 2 letters from our. Oh, for the written, sorry, yes, it's from former mayor.
Okay.
Long Island.
All right.
In regards to it. That's the influence fees on the president.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, let's start with item 6 right now, so that we can take care of this because I know that our folks from St. Clair County Fire need to get over to Los Gatos and do this again. So you guys are busy tonight. So item number 6 is the introduction and waiver of the first reading of ordinance number NS-245, an ordinance of the city council of the city of Monte Sereno designating fire hazard severity zones within the local responsibility area. And I think Diana's gonna start us off with the staff report.
Yes, thank you. On February 24th of this year, the city of Monte Sereno received the updated fire hazard severity zone maps from the California State Fire Marshal's Office. These maps were developed in accordance with state laws, which mandate the identification and classification of areas in California based on their relative fire hazard severity. These maps are developed using scientific models that assess factors such as vegetation, topography, and weather patterns that contribute to fire behavior. The maps are instrumental in guiding building standards, defensible space requirements and new developments, and the application of fire safe regulations. Although the areas within Monte Sereno from the current maps to the newly proposed maps is actually significantly reduced, staff does have plans to bring forward to council for consideration later this year, expanding the building standards and defensible space requirements beyond the newly reduced fire zone areas. So staff does recommend approval or introduction of the ordinance to approve the updated fire hazard severity zone maps. That concludes the staff report. I'm here to answer any questions, as well as we do have 2 representatives from Santa Clara County Fire Department if there's any technical questions on the maps.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions for staff or for the fire department? Okay, and I just wanted to ask, and mostly for the benefit of the residents that are listening in and attending tonight, these maps are just used for, I'll say for, they're not used for insurance purposes, correct?
That is correct.
Yes, because a lot of people will say, well, gee, why is my house going to be affected? But if you look at these fire severity maps, it doesn't look very bad for the area that I'm in. But I just wanted to point out that a lot of times the insurance companies use their own set of fire maps and they don't use the ones that are hardworking folks in government put together for them. So, but with that, yes,
Sorry, I do have a question for the gentlemen who are here from the fire department.
great.
Good evening, council. My name is Jeremy Davis, Santa Clara County Fire Department. I'm the Assistant Fire Marshal.
Okay, thank you for coming tonight.
Happy to be here.
I just have a question for you about the high fire severity zones and when the, I think it's called the no zone is going to be enforced. And if you have an update on that.
Yeah, that's the 0 to 5 foot clearance is kind of what we're talking about, the no zone. And that was something that originally it was going to be a 3-year transition. But our governor basically, after the events happening down south, basically said, starting in January, we're gonna enforce this. Now, because of that transition, there's a lot of gray area, and so there's a lot of things that the state's still trying to figure out as far as what to do. The original thought was that you cannot, it has to be down to bare mineral 0 to 5 feet to the house. We've sat through several meetings, and that is definitely not the case. At this point, they're looking at, trying to figure out how much can be in that 0 to 5 zone. One of the things that we're looking at is we don't want a lot of fuel up next to the house, for obvious reasons. We're looking at how do we deal with fences that are actually coming up and attached to the house. That's within the 0 to 5. They're trying to figure out those regulations. So I would say in the next couple of months, we'll see a lot of movement and a lot of direction from CAL FIRE on what actually is in that 0 to 5. And so we went from having down to bare mineral to now you can have some plants and then you can have some potted plants that are a certain size and a certain number. So they're trying to work that out right now.
So how does that affect our planning department and our building department as they're currently issuing maybe building permits in that high fire zone?
So those can continue and the no zone, that defensible space. We wouldn't really, there wouldn't be a lot of factors involved with that. I think with the planning, when we're talking about development within the very high fire danger zone, those are the ones that we gotta look at. Hardening of houses, and putting shields in the vent screens. Using non-combustible materials for roofs, siding, that sort of thing.
But if someone's building or doing an addition or something in that high fire severity zone. Is our building department required, and maybe our city planner knows the answer to this,
Yeah.
is our building department required to make sure that their plans meet the no zone requirements at this time?
So currently, the city enforces the building code requirements, which are the requirements of the structure. So as was mentioned, the screens for underfloor and attic vents, the size of framing members, non-combustible materials on the outside. So that is what the city currently enforces. So the city does not enforce the 0 to 5 foot or other defensible space regulations, but that is something that we will be bringing back to council for consideration later this year.
Okay, I guess my only concern is that somebody comes in and they build a home, they don't have the 5 foot defensible space, and then a year or two down the road, they have issues that they have to now be in compliance and have to rip out plants or whatever. I just keep trying to make sure that we're bridging that gap for anybody who's building something new.
Correct, we do, even though it's not technically our area of enforcement at this time, but yes, we do make sure that any landscaping, fencing, generally with our setbacks, we don't have fencing within the 5 foot zone. And any trellis or roof covering that would be attached to the house would be required to comply with the building code requirements for the commitment to exterior materials.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
You're very welcome, and I'll just add one thing, Mayor, we had kind of mentioned that there was a big difference between the fire hazard zone maps that we had versus the new ones that CAL FIRE had sent to us, and there was a decrease. So a lot of questions came to us as far as, well, why the difference? What changed? It wasn't necessarily our fuels. Our topography is going to be the same. So what was it? And so we reached out to CAL FIRE and kind of asked, and they explained that they had a sound criteria methodology of doing it. But back in 2007, when the original maps were kind of brought out, they were using global weather data. So they were using just kind of blanket weather data, because that's technology, that's all they had at the time. So with this current information, what they did is they changed, and they were able to draw data from our remote automated weather stations, which are RAWS stations, which are locally and they're throughout the community. And so with that data, they were able to bring it in and understand the microclimates. And so that is one of the, so it's a much more realistic view based on what the temperatures are, what the weather patterns are. So that was the biggest reason for the change.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, Councilmember Lawton.
Thank you for doing this. I mean, it's obviously a critical issue for all of us. On this map, I guess it's a revised map. I assume if you zoom in, because some of the streets are not identified. So the big streets are, so the small ones are not. So it may be helpful if it can get down to the level where every street is identified, at least in the fire zone. And the second question I wanted to bring up is, being able to check in which fire zone our house is in. So that if something's happening, you can, there's a number you can call in. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about an emergency number that can be called in, and
Yeah.
you can verify which zone you are in and which zone the fire is in. So
And I'll
head
tell
in
you
the
what,
right
Chief,
direction.
you wanna,
I can speak to that. We've had other cities that have done the same thing when we've had, hello, council there. We've had, very similar questions from other, councils. And they've had their GIS team, as part of their project work, come in and, delineate or add the layer of their APNs, so that they can see where the houses fall. Otherwise, it's probably gonna be a work that your team is gonna do here for the city.
And just to piggyback on that, I want to be very clear in the fact that regardless if you're in a fire hazard zone, whether you're moderate, you're high or very high, our response will be the same. We do not change our response. You're gonna get the same apparatus, you're gonna get the same firefighters, you'll get the same response, regardless of what fire severity zone that you're in. So if that was one of the concerns, I can assure you that that it will be the same.
If I could follow up, I know some permits, the fire department also goes and checks out the property to make sure that you can get your trucks out there. On these fire zones, are you gonna be doing anything different to make sure it complies with whatever the other safety requirements are?
So we do have the WUI interface or WUI wildland interface inspections that we do every year. And so those are going to continue. Those are going to, will be out every single year. We start in April. We are currently right now just finishing up inspections, so we do have every intention to continue those inspections.
But as far as the new permit is coming in, is the fire department involved in signing up on the permits?
Yes,
So,
building permits that we issue for additions and new construction are reviewed by the fire department before we issue the permit. And they do have requirements for verifying fire department truck access or vehicle access to the site in the very high fire hazard or in the fire hazard severity areas, even when there's just one house being torn down and rebuilt.
So my question is, I know you have that requirement. Are you gonna take it a step further, saying, okay, is this is there enough safe zone here? This new house is being constructed, we have the 5-foot setback or whatever.
So like you said,
Based on the new stuff that's going on.
like you said, Vice Mayor, that is to come between the ordinances that the city puts in place. And then working with the city, as we move into next year, that's when we'll start working on those particular defensible space pieces. But anything that's in process right now is gonna be to the current standard. Okay.
Hey, Councilmember Meckincheck.
Thank you for the comments. Can you speak to fire hydrants that are in the high fire risk area?
And specifically what, sir?
Is there any additional testing? Are you gonna put more hydrants in or just, I don't know what your procedures are with respect to hydrants. And I'm wondering if there's any changes or.
No, not there. There's
And
no
what about
change in the
water
requirements. There's no change in the requirements for that. Again, your water pressures are determined by the local water district. And again, if you had a catastrophic fire that came through this area, it wouldn't matter. The water pressure that you were trying to maintain. Once you had homes that were burning down, all of their water pipes will be open, but. And so they're gonna be flowing water and you're gonna start draining your water tanks, especially if you're on the hill where it's gravity fed. So really, it's a matter of water district or water purveyor infrastructure. And they're the ones that will really answer that question functionally. Once you have a catastrophic fire come through, you're going to have a water pressure problem, period.
Right. That doesn't sound good, I guess.
Catastrophic is by definition catastrophic.
So, is there something we can do to require more fire hydrants in some of these areas? I'm not sure what the policies are, but I know the homeowners, if somebody pays for those fire hydrants, the water department charges you a ton of money to have a new fire hydrant, put wherever you want.
That's correct, but quite frankly, again, we're talking about water district or water purveyor, water company infrastructure. And they're all running off of the same pipe system. So you're only gonna have so much pressure. For every fire hydrant that you add, if they're being used, that's lower pressure in your system.
Okay, but at least you want fire hydrants in places. So that it's not necessarily that all of them are gonna turn on at the same time. So should we be looking at getting fire hydrants in What is it, 100 feet or 200 feet of each other, how far should one fire hydrant be from another?
Whatever the code is, sir, then that will be a determination for the city to work out with the fire,
So you guys
or
are
the water district.
How far apart it should be?
Typically it's like 300 feet,
Yeah,
so.
Well, let's ask it this way then. Are you concerned about the placement of fire hydrants in our area right now? Do you have any cause for concern? Do we have enough fire hydrants?
I would say that's a difficult question to ask. Fire hydrants are really put in place for single events. They are not meant for large events. Quite frankly, when you're dealing with a large vegetation fire, your focus is to get people out of the area. Your focus is to help contain the fire. And as we've mentioned before in previous meetings, when you have a large vegetation fire, fire doesn't see that it's a home. It's just another fuel.
Right.
And so we're really trying to just stop the forward progress of the fire. And the fire, depending on the weather and the intensity, it's not going to matter how many hydrants you have in the direct area of the fire.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions for staff or Santa Clara County Fire?
No, guys, I just want to comment to you, Todd, that I've poked around at this severity map and gone to the website. I don't remember the exact website, but I can find it again, give it to you. And you are able to put in your address and it'll show you where you are.
We'll give you your zone.
Mhm.
Thank you for
Okay.
having us.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Yes.
Just one hour. For the representative of the parent, how often do you inspect the fire hydrants in Monte Sereno to make sure that they are fire?
Annually, every year. You got it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
right, thanks. Okay, any other public comment? Anybody online?
No hands are raised.
All right, seeing that, I will then, first I'll thank the fire department because I know that you have to get going. And I'll bring it back to council for discussion, or I will take a motion.
Just one comment for the city manager. Based on the discussion we've had, it looks like you probably have more work on seeing that the fire hydrant is appropriate. I guess there is a concern that everything might not work anyway because it's going to be a huge fire. So sometimes you don't have huge fires, you just have a couple of home fires. And the question is if they're in the fire zone, should we be looking at enacting further legislation as far as how far fire hydrants are, but are they within the 300 feet or whatever the right length is for that area? So I appreciate if you can take a look at that and we're going to bring it back as to safe defensible zones and everything else. That would be another thing also to look at.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilmember McIntyre.
I'd like to make a motion to introduce and waive first reading of a draft ordinance of the city council of the city of Monte Sereno designated fire hazard severity zones as set forth in the staff report. And the resolution attached.
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you very much. Can I have a vote, please? All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
It's a
It's an
resolution.
ordinance.
Oh, it's an ordinance. Aye.
Great. Motion passes, ordinance passes. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're gonna move on to item 7. And at this point, I need to recuse myself as I am involved with one of the organizations that is applying for a community-based organization grant. So I will turn it over to our team vice mayor.
Before I take over, I also need to get a clarification. Last time I recused myself, my son is on the board of KCAT. And I thought that was a ground that I must recuse myself. So I want the city council to clarify whether I need to recuse myself or not.
So a council member is required to recuse themselves in any decision in which they have an economic interest. In this case, your son is not a source of income to you, and as far as I understand, KCAT is not a source of income to him. So therefore, you do not have a legal conflict and you are able to participate.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
I guess I can stay.
You can stay.
Glad to hear that you're able to stay.
All right. So we have a staff report. We can go ahead and do that.
Yes, thank you. On the year 2020, the city council adopted a community-based grants policy, which sets a grant program and establishes criteria for evaluating the grant application. That policy and the applications that we've received this year are both attached to the staff report. On the draft budget, which was reviewed by the city council last month and will be considered for adoption at the next meeting, includes $25,000 for grants for community-based organizations in our upcoming fiscal year. A total of 10 grant applications were received. Again, they are attached to the staff report. And staff recommends that the city council discuss the applications and consider awarding the grants.
Thank you.
Concludes the staff report.
Questions for staff? No questions? All right, I guess, I know staff also presented us with, further information on some of these, committees. And I also went through and reviewed the. I'm sorry, did you have a question?
I have a comment on procedure. If
Sure, go ahead.
I'm wondering if we should hear from the applicants first before we have any discussion. And then after they make a presentation, if they so choose, then we could ask questions and have a comments after that. And I just, you're chairing the meeting, so
No, that's an excellent suggestion. I appreciate that. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and go through the applicants as they applied based off the.
We have some present today as well as online.
Right.
So I don't know if you want them to just raise their hand or if you want to go in the order.
Let's go in the order they applied. So if you have the order with you, please go ahead and follow them. Try to find my order here. Please go ahead.
Well, I have the first one as the art, descent of those colors. They present, anyone?
There's a few columns. If you're present, please come on up. From the art docents of Los Gatos. Anybody here on that?
they sent something, I believe,
Oh,
saying that.
yes,
they
so
could
we do
attend.
have two that were maybe able to participate, so they did send some written communication. So it was,
This was the art docents.
okay, so we do have them, so they're not present, so we do have one. And
On this, oh, this one.
yes, and then.
This is from Marcia Thomas. Is that the one?
They're separate.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, the second one is AWO.
Okay, so those are the two top, the first two. Okay, so then we have, ACAT.
All right, K-Cat it is. Please come on.
Go up?
Yeah,
Okay.
please come on.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello, council, vice mayor, mayor, when you were here. So thank you for having us tonight. We're grateful to the city of Monte Sereno as always for our collaborative partnership over the years, plus your continual support of KCAT's TV's programs and services. Community grants, bottom line, isn't it all about how we directly impact your residents and city? Yes. So that is why I'm here with a few stats and facts. This year, 20% of our campers so far reside in Monte Sereno. Last year it was 14%. So we're getting up there. 3 of our 8 interns are from Monte Sereno. 5 of our 10 KCAP board residents are residents of Monte Sereno. Way to represent. 35% of our Oktoberfest volunteers live in Monte Sereno. More adults 55 plus from Monte Sereno are volunteering and engaging with KCAP than ever before. And one of the best things to tell you is I had the opportunity to present some media ideas to the Monte Sereno Youth Commissioners. And I'm excited to report that they will be starting a podcast in the fall. Perhaps we could turn the building next door into a podcast studio for everybody to enjoy. Maybe, just saying. Another benefit I would like to offer Monte Sereno is that we are media partners with the Outlook newspaper. So for example, when the commissioners begin their podcast, we can have an article about it in the paper, which reaches 32,000 homes. The Outlook now boasts a rotating mayor's column, and Mayor Craig has already penned an article for the Outlook. So the sky's the limit for media coverage for Monte Sereno. As in years prior, this grant will be used to support KCAS's biggest fundraiser, Oktoberfest, which is an annual family-friendly hometown event that brings the community together to enjoy a Bavarian cultural experience with authentic food, drinks, games, and dancing. This day of festivities raises funds for all of KCAT's programs and services, and most specifically our Free to Be Me Media Arts Youth Program. The scholarships to underserved students, much needed scholarships, I should say. So that they can participate and they thrive in our media playground. In summer of 2024, KCAT educated 310 children in media arts, culminating in a sold-out film festival at our local theater. This year, we're bringing in 400 students to be at KCAT camp. As an Oktoberfest sponsor, the city of Monte Sereno will be highlighted on TV, radio, social media platforms, and print materials beginning now through October. So we hope to see all of you in your lederhosen and dirndls at our 4th annual Oktoberfest on September 13th, noon to 8:30 p.m. at the Civic Center lawn. We would be thrilled to have you return as a sponsor, and thank you for the opportunity to apply for a grant. And we value your city and all you do for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Lockie, also one of the organizations that is not present actually is online, so they have their hand raised whenever there's a chance.
If you're going in the order, when their turn comes, just call them.
Okay, well, they were the second ones.
All right, so
Yeah.
call them.
Okay. So, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good evening. Can you hear me?
You have 3 minutes to address council.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, sorry, so faint on my end. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Folake Phillips, and I'm the founder and executive director of our. We're based in Los Gatos, established in 2020 with the fundamental goal of creating inclusive and secure environments for individuals, youth, and families to connect, engage in creative exchange, and foster deeply held belief that every person is of inherent value. I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about the impact that we would have if you so kindly support us with the funds that we're requesting to run a pilot program called Wellness for Humanity. On a personal note, because of so much of the discord happening countrywide and misunderstanding and the climate in general, I've lost a dear friend who passed away. Our local mosque in Los Gatos, they're under attack. Basically, I'm here to speak first and foremost for the most vulnerable and marginalized amongst us. Yes, we're based in Los Gatos. Los Gatos has kindly awarded us with a generous community space from the town to use to run some of this programming tied to therapy, improving quality of life, helping to alleviate tension, stress, and trauma. We've designed this Wellness for Humanity program to significantly improve community health outcomes with the potential to contribute to a more resilient and comprehensive community healthcare system within Santa Clara County. It is a pilot program. We do not have the data to support what we want to do. It's research-based, and we're hearing directly from community members who need help, who are most marginalized and don't always have the awareness and access to quality and vital services that can strengthen and improve their self-awareness, improve their quality of life, and just help people manage stress and tensions. So basically, we're hoping to receive, or we're requesting, support in the form of $5,000 to help provide therapy services, counseling, drop-in sessions, resource sharing. Most importantly, take advantage of the opportunity of being awarded by the town of Los Gatos a space to provide vital services that are needed. So it's a pilot program. We want to take this advantage and we need the support. And that's why we've reached out to Monte Sereno since we've gotten some support from Los Gatos where we are based. We hope that this will be considered. There are people that are surviving under harsh terms right now and realities, and they need our help and our support. And we need as many partners as we can get to help us get this started. Thank you.
Thank you. We didn't ask questions for the previous applicant that have gone by. So I think we can start asking questions if you feel like it's appropriate right now to any of these applicants. And the ones we haven't, we can come back and later on and do that. So does anybody have any questions for AWO? I think that's the organization. And if you have any questions.
I have a question for you, please. It looks like you do not provide the services free to the public. What are the charges to the public to access the services?
Thank you for your question. This pilot program, when we do offer the services, they'll be provided free. We have been awarded another sum of $5,000 from District 2 Supervisor Betty Young, Santa Clara County Supervisor, because we presented that we have support to have a space where we can provide services and where these services can significantly, contribute to a more comprehensive community healthcare system.
So any funds awarded would be for a program where there's no fee charged, but you have other programs where a fee is charged, is that correct?
So there'll be no fee charged on this pilot program, correct? And as we are also seeking support to run this pilot program, we're also reaching out to partners for more resources and information about more funding in preparation for it being a successful pilot, and then we can offer even more for free.
Thank you. And then another question, please. Is the organization a 501c3?
It is a 501c3, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One question I have for you. Are you rated by Charity Navigator?
Are we what? Sorry, say that again.
Are you evaluated by Charity Navigator, which is I understand a website or a service that rates nonprofits? And do you know what your rating is?
Oh, that is, I don't know about that rating service. We do have our status active, and we provide that to the county and any other grant applications are requested.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We can go to the next applicant. Thank you so much for
thank you, but could I just get the name so I can look into it? I'm sorry, I should have asked.
the names of what?
The ratings,
Charity Navigator.
Charity Navigator. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
We do have a raised hand. I want to just check in with them in regards to what organization they're with, if you don't mind me.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, Jessica. Can you hear us?
Yes, hi. Thank you for.
I'm sorry, what organization are you with?
I'm with the Los Gatos Education Foundation and One Community Los Gatos.
So we're going to be going in order. Give me just a moment. We have one more ahead of you, and then we'll go ahead and call you. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right. So let's see, we have KCAT. Next is Los Gatos Community Concert Association. Is there anybody?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, good evening, City Council. My name is Carl Sprick. I'm at 1910 Leafy Road, and I represent the Los Gatos Community Concert Association. And I think I have pretty well succinctly outlined in my application what we do. We provide 4 concerts per year, And we've been doing so for 78 years. And I think that that's probably just a little before the founding of the city of Monte Sereno. So we thank you very, very much for your past support over all these years, because as any arts organization knows, we are very, very dependent upon the grants and donations. Otherwise, we wouldn't be continuing in this manner. And I just want to make it very brief. We are a board of 12 who are all volunteer. We do all of the administration and everything else. We do not charge for any services whatsoever. We have our expenses, of course, and the cost of artists has been going up and up. But we look for the finest artists worldwide, and they are of a semi-classical nature. And there's a lot of connection with the audience. We make sure of that. And we insist on only the best performances. So that is our service to the community. They're mostly seniors who are living well within the orbit of Monte Sereno. And it's a social occasion almost, takes place in the Los Gatos High School Theater for the most part. So I'm here to answer any questions. And first of all, let me thank you again for all of your past support, because we would otherwise not have existed for all of these years. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will leave a brochure here.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Los Gatos Education Foundation. Jessica would speak on it.
Jessica, please go ahead.
You have 3 minutes.
Yes, hi, I'm Jessica Johnson, the president of the board of the Los Gatos Education Foundation, also known as One Community Los Gatos. We work with the 5 schools in Los Gatos Union School District to provide STEAM nights, which is what our grant request is for this time, and we appreciate your past support. We are able to host over 500 families at Dave's Avenue Elementary located in Monte Sereno. And our STEAM TOSAs from the district plan about 10 different activity stations for families to engage with their children in. They get to make something and take it home with them. And this year's theme will be transportation. We're going to have booths for bike safety and bike routes to schools, as well as e-bike education. I know that's a hot topic right now with a lot of families. We just finished our STEAM night at Fisher Middle School, and we were able to get Good Samaritan Hospital to bring a surgical robot simulator to our STEAM night, and the kids and families were able to do a simulated lung biopsy using their machines. So it was really an amazing event. The families are so excited and the kids are just happy, and it's a wonderful community building event. We really appreciate all your past support.
Thank you.
A quick question if I may. Hi, Jessica. What is the date of the Dave's Avenue STEAM event?
It will be August 24th this year.
And there's no, it's free to all of the students and their parents, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
How many attendees do you expect? I mean,
At Dave's Avenue, we had over 550 families last year, and at Fisher Middle School this last month, we had 1,100 families.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And your 501c3, is that under your name or is it under somebody else's name?
It's under Los Gatos Education Foundation.
Okay, great.
And we've been around for 42 years. So we basically give grants to the Los Gatos Union School District with money we raise from the community and parents and those kind of things.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any hand raised for questions? All right, so let's go to thank you so much. We'll go to the
Thank
next.
you so much.
Next, we have Los Gatos Museum Association. Have anybody?
Is that Lulu?
That's it, yeah.
Anybody here from the Los Gatos Museum or the Lulu?
No one? Okay, we also have Los Gatos Youth Park.
Please come.
Thank you. Vice Mayor and Council, my name is Phil Knopf, Monte Sereno resident and president of Los Gatos Youth Park. Last year, we received grant money from the city of Monte Sereno for renovations of the common building at the youth park. And during the renovations, we ran into some more things that had to be done. We removed the back concrete patio and increased the walkway to make it handicap accessible to the building. So now we're applying for grant money for help with the placement of the concrete, the patio to make it handicap accessible. And during the renovations last year, we spent about $30,000 with a new roof, new carpeting inside and the floor in the kitchen, and new light fixtures. So it's building's in good shape now and it's being used a lot more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question for you, if I may. I noticed that you're the only applicant who didn't apply for the full 5,000, which was the maximum you could apply for. Is that because you do have a specific, sounds like a specific project
Yeah.
you would use the money towards, and that's.
Right, that was
all you
the
would need?
3,000, that was the additional concrete work that we did in the back, and that's all that was needed, right?
Okay, yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the usage of this facility and the Monte Sereno residents or children that would use it?
Okay, the Los Gatos Youth Park is been in operation since 1956. We were incorporated as a 501c3 in 1970 after the users decided it was time to make things legal and to make things on the up and up. And on the youth park, it's property is leased from San Jose Water Company. It's across the street from the tennis courts at Los Gatos High School. And the building that we renovated was, the original building was the Veterans Hall. It was built in 1930. And it's kind of the common building there. So the other two buildings are the two scout huts, the Troop 2 and 539, that have a lot of Monte Sereno Los Gatos residents. And then the building that we use, the common building, is used by the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. There's a Veterans Association group that meets there, the 4-H. And they're, this year we just came up with the Aldercroft Heights Water District is having their monthly meetings there. So it's getting more and more use.
I believe I was at the event last summer, right before the picnic. Is that, do you remember that?
Yeah, those are the citizen recognition.
Yeah.
For that, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Question, so this building is used by the youth and by other people, do you rent it out when it's being used?
It's a minimal fee and we've got, insurance and utilities and stuff, so we rent it like $25 a day so it's a minimal fee for rental of the building. So we try and keep the rent down on it.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, for the gentleman? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Safe Worldwide.
Yeah.
Hello, and thank you, council members. My name is Linda Lanzel. It's actually the first year that I'm actually able to be in person because I'm usually traveling. Our organization is a little bit different. First of all, let me just say that I've been a resident of Monte Sereno for 23 years and in the Los Gatos area 38, well, combined the two naturally. And our organization has been around since 2017. We are a 501c3. We are a platinum with Candid, and the only reason why we're not officially rated yet on Charity Navigator is solely because we don't meet the threshold of $250,000 yet. However, we are inside of Charity Navigator, so you'll see our name there. So I don't need to go through everything. We are a wildlife conservation organization, but we work mainly to also do education. The reason I started Safe Worldwide, which SAFE is an acronym for Saving Animals Facing Extinction, is really because I felt like there wasn't enough education done around the plight of wildlife in the world and the environment. especially for younger children. So I've always loved working with young children. I do a lot of talks in schools. And we decided to do this series of books, which I don't know if you've had a chance to look at them yet. If you haven't, I have copies for everyone that I can pass out. You had them, okay? I have some copies for people who want some here. We're very proud of this. These are, this is the first of a series of 6 books that we're doing. And we're asking for funding to help us because there's a lot of cost involved with the printing. All of the illustrations are done by hand. We do not do anything with AI, nothing. Not even the wording is done with AI. It is all done through volunteers. That's the other thing about Safe Worldwide, is that we are a fully volunteer-based organization. Everything from our website, everything that we do, anything that I do on my own is funded by myself, and any funds that we go, 100% of them go to our projects. So it's not a penny that gets wasted, and that doesn't go towards the message that we're trying to put out there. And the reason we created the books is because we really want to create advocates for animals, for wildlife, and we believe that young people are desperate for this kind of information. Every time I go to the schools, we always go over our time because the kids just love to talk about animals. They love to talk about, you know, what's happening in the world. And we're an organization that isn't afraid to really talk about difficult topics. And when we started doing this collection of books that we're going to be doing, with the first one, we're just done with the second one. As far as the wording, we're in the illustration phase right now. And that is because we went everywhere. We went scouring through the internet and we couldn't find anyone that does what we do, which is really talking about difficult topics.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Can you give us an example of a difficult topic, please?
Well, poaching, illegal wildlife trafficking, the exotic pet industry, selfies. The last talk that I just did was on the ethical tourism, because there's a lot involved in teaching young people, especially today, that are traveling the world, that there is an enormous cost to animals when you're deciding to have a selfie taken with a chimpanzee or a sloth on your shoulder, or the tigers or lions in Africa. We are in a society that is traveling a lot, but however, there's not much education that's out there on this. And so that's one of the big topics that we do talks on. Like I said, I just finished one on ethical tourism, and it was incredibly well received, and it's one that we're going to continue to do.
Where was that talk given?
Foster City. Yeah. So I do schools all over the place. We just did the Keno Reservation, because we do try to do a lot with underserved areas as well. And so we just did the Olympic Peninsula with a lot of the reservation children, with underserved children there. Our books, the other thing is they're all free. Teachers often ask me, how can I buy them? Where are they on the website? And we say, we don't sell them. That's the whole thing about Safe Worldwide again. We don't do anything where anyone has to pay for it, because we don't want children, we don't want anyone to have to be wondering if they can pay for a book. That's it.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Have you spoken at any of the local schools here at Dave's Avenue or?
Not yet. The only reason I haven't talked to Dave, and I'm actually 50 feet from Dave's, is solely because I've been so busy with other schools. Like we just did Hilbert. We did one, St. Lucy's in Campbell. We had a lot of people asking us to do. However, I've made it a commitment that I'm going to this year reach out, because I know a lot of the teachers there. And so we're going to do the 3rd grade. It's mostly 2nd and 3rd grade that we usually do. And so we're going to do that school. We're hoping to do Fish, well, the one right next to it also. So
So I'm asking because I'm looking for a connection to Monte Sereno and Monte Sereno residents.
Yes.
Is there other examples that you can give me where you interacted with for people in Monte Sereno?
So in Monte Sereno, what we did is we work with the Los Gatos Vasona area as well. And we did the park, we did a tree planting event there. So it's difficult, so we will be doing Days Avenue, I'm certain of it, the school. If you need a commitment, I don't have that at this point because we have a new principal that's gonna be starting in September. And we'll be reaching out to him. So I know it's a little bit difficult because I know there has to be a connection on the Monte Sereno side. But that's what we're hoping to do, is to reach out to them this year and hopefully do it every year with Days Avenue.
Yeah, and certainly for a small community, so community
Yeah.
things often do happen in Los Gatos, but it involves Monte Sereno residents
Yeah.
as well.
And we do talks at the library. I've done talks at the Los Gatos Library. And I'm hoping that when you do when you open up the new center, if you have the ability to take on speakers, I would be glad to do some of the talks that we do as well with the community.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
You're very welcome.
So we have next sustainable waste.
Anybody here from Sustainable Ways? See anybody? No hands are raised?
Okay.
That's. Who's up
Oh,
there?
sorry, I'm just getting clarified that there music in the park. Sustainable ways, they're not present or online. And lastly, West Valley Community Services. Is there anybody here?
Anybody here from West Valley Community Services? Okay.
That's it.
All right, so, Mr. Ryan, if you don't mind, I think we didn't get a chance to ask you any questions, because you went first. So if anybody has any questions, I will request that you step up to the podium again. Anybody have any questions on KCAT?
I just have one question for you.
Please come on. Please come on.
Sure. If KCAT is to be awarded a grant, would you use it for a specific purpose? And I'm sorry if you already spoke to that, but is there a specific earmark that you want this grant for? Or-
Oktoberfest,
Oh, for-
which funds all of KCAT's programs and services.
Sorry, so I should be more clear, because Oktoberfest is a community event, but you also charge for the, the beer and the food and the events, even though people can arrive for free. So I guess I'm trying to separate out the for a fee part of the event versus no fee part of the event. Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, it's all free, and you're right, if you're hungry, you buy food. And if you're thirsty, you drink, you don't have to do any of those things.
But
it's free.
So it's for the Oktoberfest, but just part of the general cost of the Oktoberfest.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and then you get all the promotion and the perks along with it, and Monte Sereno will have a table and a reserve table this year. If you want,
So.
did I answer?
Let me
Yes,
see if I
again.
understand. When I was there as a volunteer, you've got tents set up,
Mhm.
you've got other infrastructure set up. Do you pay the police to manage the event, or do you have your own security?
We have our own.
Okay, so you fund that, for example, so it's the infrastructure for not the direct cost of the food and of the beverages.
Correct. That's correct, yes. Like, Los Gatos gave us the grant. And they wanted it specifically for the tent. So, that's right. So I could name a thing if that helps.
No, it's,
Oh.
no, it's not.
Well, I wanna
I
answer
just
your
wanted to
question.
kind of separate out the fact that there are some fees being charged for people that attend, but that anyone can attend. They don't
Yes.
have to buy food, they don't have
Yes.
to buy drinks.
They can attend and dance and play games and have fun.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying, there's costs associated with putting on the
Okay.
event that aren't part of the food and drink and all that.
Okay,
I believe that there's a number of other donors to the event. Can you just give us a rough idea of how much money you raise from other donors? So that we can put if we were to donate money, we could put it into perspective.
sure. I'm fundraising right now. so it's kind of the season, like you were at the lobster dinner. So last year we raised about $80,000. We need about more, let's say that. More, yeah. And then, yeah,
This is basically your fundraising event.
it is our fundraising event for our programs and services, yeah. It's our only once a year event.
Okay, tonight, yeah. Any other questions? Any questions from the public or anybody else? No hands are raised?
No hands are raised.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody else, or any member of the public want to speak on, address anything that any applicant has said? Or give us any other, have any other questions? This is the time for you to come forward.
We're overcoming my shyness. Well, I guess I'm somewhat biased because I used to serve on the KCAD board, but I think it's been just a wonderful vehicle for our community in terms of getting things out. And anybody who hasn't been to Oktoberfest should go. It's a wonderful community event. It's like our Monte Sereno picnic. It's something that everyone should attend. And so I do hope the council will continue to support KCAD.
Thank you. Any other members of the public want to say anything? Please come forward. Okay, hearing no back and hearing no one, I guess we'll bring it back to council. We're going to discuss it, try to figure out how to disperse the funds. And I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing. That's what makes the community strong. Every one of you is volunteering, doing a lot of great work. Wish we had enough money to give everybody what they wanted. Our budget, Monte Sereno is also tight, so we have to think about it. Our budget is $25,000, so we have to kind of prepare it, not spend anything more than that. So that's going to be our job to try to figure that out. There's only three of us. It might be easier or harder, I don't know. So let's bring it back to council. Any discussion? All right.
Sure, I'll start off with some observations and some comments. Monte Sereno is a difficult community, and we're trying to build community here. I think that any organization that is involved with the city of Monte Sereno, with our residents and our children and our seniors, is a worthy cause. I'm a little, it's too bad we didn't have more money, because I think in my calculations, there was some $48,000 that was requested against our budget of $25,000. And as I think through the criteria that we've got, I'm looking for things like, where do we get the most leverage per donation dollar for our constituents, our residents? There's nothing that I heard that was negative, only positive. And although there were some that weren't able to attend, but as I just make a few comments, I think the Los Gatos Youth Park, they asked for something, for some money for a specific item, and I'm glad that you asked that question, you know, why only $3,000? And so I think if we were to reduce that on some sort of basis, I don't think we're doing justice for that event. I like the Safe Worldwide, but it doesn't have much of a nexus in Monte Sereno. And I was thinking of our picnic, and you know, you could have a table set up at our picnic that would really help things, you know, and that's an easy thing to do, I think. In terms of I think we had a commitment already for West Valley Community Services, and I think that that's very important to fund. Sustainable Ways, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't come here because there's a lot of Monte Sereno residents that enjoy music in the park. And KCAT is stellar, so I think that, you know, that's. I think we really need to support that, and thank you for the statistics on that, that is very important, so. I didn't address every ask, but those are some of my thoughts as we're having a discussion. And I'd be interested in hearing other perspectives on these.
Please go ahead.
Boy, I really appreciate everyone that came out to speak. I appreciate all the applications that we received and people who were online and spoke. It's great to see how many people we have in the community that are doing, you know, good things for the community and for the wider community. And it's very hard to decide, but one of the things I'm looking to is what our evaluation criteria are. And why I was asking about if you charge for your services is because one of our criteria is that the entity must provide their services or event free to the public. I know there's at least one applicant that they don't charge, that they do charge a fee for their event. So I'm afraid that for me, anybody who charges a fee, I'd have to knock them off my list. Just based on our criteria, I'm hoping that next year, if we do community-based grants again, I'm gonna, you know, ask that the council direct staff to change that wording or to remove it. Other than that, I'm really looking to award money to groups that really have a strong community in Monte Sereno. But it's hard to decide.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, thank you for your comments. Let me give you mine. I went through every organization. Use ChatGPT, so some of the results might not be accurate. But basically, I was looking at who has which of the organizations that applied actually have a 501c3. And the ones that I didn't get was the Los Gatos Theater and the Sustainable Ways. It did not show that they had a nonprofit status. The other thing that I looked at, so we may be able to eliminate those two. I don't really want to say that, but just using that on that nonprofit, they have to be nonprofit for us to give them any money. I think we're not allowed to give funds to anyone that's not nonprofit. If I'm wrong on that, please correct me.
Which two is that?
Sustainable ways of music in the park. And then the Los Gatos Theater. Yeah, please.
If I may, I believe if that is music in the park, they do have a 501c3, an umbrella 501c3 that they operate under.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with the other one, but if that is in fact true that is music in the park, then they're a 501c3.
And the other one, were you referring to Los Gatos Community Concert Association?
No, but for the Sustainable Ways.
That's the one I was
That's the
talking.
music in the park.
You said there was a second one?
Oh, Sustainable Ways is the second one was Los Gatos Theater.
Is that, do you mean the Community Concert Association? We don't have
We don't
a
have
theater.
Okay, so KMT parties under Los Gatos Community. Might be under something else.
All right, excuse me, are you talking about the Los Gatos Community Concert Association?
No, I wasn't. I think you are nonprofit.
Oh, okay.
But the Los Gatos Theater doesn't come under it. That's a different organization.
Pardon?
The Los Gatos Theater,
No,
that's not part of it.
our concerts take place in the Los Gatos High School Theater.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so. That's understood. Then the other thing I looked at is there's a website called Charity Navigator, which goes and rates charity for how much money they spend on themselves and how much of the funding gets donated. And from that, AWO had an excellent Charity Navigator rating. They were rated above 70. And there's some Monte Sereno connection with them also. KCAT has also got an excellent Charity Navigator rating. Los Gatos Community Foundation or else Educational Foundation has a charitable rating. And West Valley Community Services got the best charitable rating out there. I kind of went through those and based on my understanding of how much of the Monte Sereno connection was there, I came up with some numbers and I've handed you guys the chart. So we can use that as a starting point, I suppose, and try to spend the $25,000. Our docents isn't here, but I budgeted about 1,500 for them. AWA was 5,000, KCAT was 5,000. Los Gatos Community was 1,000. Los Gatos Educational Foundation was 2,000. Numi, I budgeted $1,500, but they're not here, so we can. I'll just give you the numbers that budgeted originally. Los Gatos Youth about 1,500. The SAFE 2,000, and then West Valley Community Center about 5,000. That added up to 24,500. So we had about 500 left. My calculation might be a little bit off. Let's start from there, and you guys can.
Yeah, I
agree or disagree on some of these.
I would move the Los Gatos Youth from the 1,500 to the 3,000. I may take some away from Numu. And and AWO.
Give us a number that you can take away.
Oh, sorry, the AWO is 5,000, so I thought. You know, if you say, who are we gonna give our 5,000 to? I think that West Valley Community Services, they would be in the top tier, if you will, in the 5,000. I think KCAT would be in the 5,000. Those are the two top tiers, I think, and then I just dial back AWO a bit.
Give us a number, so we can keep this moving.
3.5.
Right.
And then I think that covers the increase to Los Gatos Youth of 3,000.
Okay.
And I am aligned with with your other numbers. Although maybe we could give, yeah.
So you're, sorry, no, you were done.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're dividing this out based upon this score, this charity score, is that correct?
Yeah, I looked at a number of things. I looked at first of all that they had a non-profit status, and then the charity stars. How many stars they had, like AWA had 3 stars, which is one less than what West Valley Community Services had, like 4. KCAT had 2 stars, and then they also have they give stars and they give a rating. And if there was a rating over 70, I gave a point for that. And then if I found a Monte Sereno connection, there's a point for that. And then depending on the intensity of that connection, they might have an extra point for that. That was one way I could work it through to come up with some kind of a ratio. I guess I'm an engineer, so it works that way. But you guys are accountants. You can
So then you went in the score column, you went 234s times 25,000 to get you the 1,563. Yeah, I
just rounded that.
Yeah.
To a number. So like 34 was the total score for everybody together. Then based on how many points.
Like a ratio.
Yeah, I kind of went for that.
So I had actually taken off of my list Los Gatos Community Concert Association, even though I attend their concerts. And I think they do great work, but they do charge for their services and they don't meet our criteria, unfortunately, and I hope that we will change that criteria so that great organizations like Los Gatos Community Concert Association can be in compliance. So I did take them off my list for that reason.
May I address that point?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Although
with
we
the vice mayor.
Yeah,
yes, although we do charge tickets, they are so reduced in cost, they are really heavily subsidized. Maybe we do have to charge something for the concerts, so I'd like to make that point at least.
Yeah, and like I said, I've attended the concerts myself, and I do understand that, but I think we have to follow the criteria as it was stated. I personally know somebody who did not apply for a community grant because they do similarly charge something just to cover some of the costs.
Thank you. Please goodbye.
And I'm just curious for West Valley Community Services, when I read their application, I felt like they were sort of distant from Monte Sereno. But it sounds like maybe you know more about what they do. than
So
what I understood.
just a moment, Diana, didn't we, in our housing element, say that make a commitment to West Valley Community Services?
So our housing element does have programs to support affordable housing and resources for unhoused individuals. And so that could be through West Valley Community Services, is one opportunity to achieve that goal, yes.
Right, I made the direct link that we made that commitment in our housing element, which ended up getting passed, and therefore we should make good on that, so. That's that, Lisa, that was my thinking. On
I'm not familiar with that. Or the housing element.
well, that's a good thing or a bad. It was quite an ordeal.
Yes.
I also agree that for Los Gatos youth, I would give them more than what your calculation comes out with at the full 3,000.
Okay.
I would have taken West Valley Community Services off my list, but you guys can help me work through that. And then KCAT, we always, I believe, support KCAT, and KCAT has a very strong connection to the community, a very strong connection in Monte Sereno. So I would like to see them get the full 5,000 that they requested. And then maybe, kind of spread the rest of it around a little bit. I haven't done the math on this, everything I just said, but if we could grant some of those the full amount and then they spread out the rest.
And if I could,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor, the criteria, that was put together here, the Sustainable Ways, I believe, has 0 because it's indicated as it is not a nonprofit organization, but it is a nonprofit organization, so I don't know if that makes a difference in council's deliberations.
And Mr. Vice Mayor, just a clarification, it looks as though Sustainable Ways is a public benefit corporation, so 501.
Before.
I believe so. So that's slightly different.
That's why I didn't show up on ChatGPT. So looking at that, fortunately, they're not here to give us some additional information. Let's go back to the numbers. If you don't mind, we can just go right from the top of the art docents. There's a $1,500 number that I'd come to.
Can you give me just one, I'm
Yeah.
trying to add up some numbers to see kind of where we are,
Up there would be helpful.
just. 15, 5, 10, 13, 45, 75. 85, 95, and 5, 24, 5. Okay, someone can check my math, but here's what I heard. Are you ready to write them down?
Yeah.
So from the top, 1,500, 3,500, 5,000, 1,000, 2,000, 0, 1,500, 3,000, 2,000, 5,000. And then Sustainable Ways, I guess there's only 500 left, but we'd have to move something around there.
I know, so
That-
what was the 0? I'm sorry.
For the museum, is that the one you're saying no to?
LG Theater, that's what,
Yeah, I think that's an extra.
Yeah, that's just an extra, so 0 is
Yeah,
fine.
it's a.
I think that was an error, there's only 10,
So we're going based.
so it's saying 0 for each line.
So if you look at this,
Yeah,
that's the list of the applications.
we're not on the same page. So which one?
This one.
Yeah, this, oh, okay, so art docents, I was going off, the vice mayors, so that one's 1,500. AWO, I said 35. KCAT 5,000. LG Community Concert, we said that one was 1,000. LG EF, that's Jessica, that's 2,000. Then Los Gatos Muni, that one was 1,500. Youth Park 3,000. The safe was 2,000. Sustainable waste, oh, okay, that's let's just plug 500 in there for a moment. And then West Valley is 5,000. Did someone check my math on that? So
I think you're right on. I think that's a big idea.
the 15 plus 3,000 plus 5,000.
I'm sorry, you had 15 plus 3,000 for AWA? Or was it 3,500?
Oh, it was 35.
Yeah, 5,000, probably. Who wants to repeat that? Jan, you want to repeat all those numbers, just to be sure we're all on the same page? Thank you.
Sure, so Art Dozens of Los Gatos, 1,500. AWO 3,500. KCAT 5,000. Los Gatos Community Concert Association 1,000. Los Gatos Education Foundation 2,000. Los Gatos Museum Association 1,500. Los Gatos Youth Park 3,000. Safe 2,000. Sustainable Ways, the Music in the Park 500, and West Valley Community Services 5,000. That comes to 25,000.
Yeah, I did my math right. My arithmetic.
I guess we did the rest with CBA.
So then, well, I don't know about that, but if we could dial at least 500 off of something to give Sustainable Ways 1,000, I think 500 is too little because I don't know, it seems to be something that's free and that a lot of Monte Sereno residents attend.
Got it.
And if they would have been here, they could have done a better presentation, I'm sure.
I would propose taking 1,000 from AWO and moving it to Sustainable Ways to give them 1,500.
So AWO would go from 35 to,
2,500,
okay,
which is still, more than most people are getting.
yeah.
And then give Sustainable Ways, the Music in the Park 1,500. I think that's something that Monte Sereno residents do attend and do enjoy. And Vice Mayor Alon, I was just wondering your thoughts on that West Valley community services. Again, I don't really understand what they're.
Yeah, no, they provide a lot of services generally to the community within Los Gatos. And help out a lot of people in providing some really good relief. Monte Sereno may not have that many people in that kind of need, but the work that they're doing is tremendous, and it's a good organization. They've done a really excellent job. They have a very high rating with all the, Navigator and everybody else, because they're not putting money in their own pocket, so that's why I would stick with the 5,000 on that one. On AWO, I'm familiar with some of their work, and they're doing a lot of local work, and I would suggest we cut that down to about 3,000 rather than 3,500.
But you said, Lisa said 2,500.
Yeah, so I'm saying, you said 3,500, so I'm going to 3,000. So 2,500, kind of splitting it in middle, and then it would give us $1,000 on Sustainable Ways. The only concern I have on Sustainable Ways is the not a 501c3 nonprofit, and I don't know if that prevents us from giving them funds or not.
It looks like they entered into a new agreement with the town, so now instead of the organizations that were in charge of it, they've now contracted with the Sustainable Ways to run the program for them. So it's structured differently than it has been in the past, but it's not technically a 501c3.
There are criteria.
If I may,
Yeah, please.
the city of Monte Sereno and you can donate money to the city of Monte Sereno and get a deductible receipt for that. It's not, the city of Monte Sereno is not a 501c3, but it's got a different rating, if you will. Because I looked into that for the community center and we.
No, I understand that, but I think for.
So I think that's the same as Los Gatos. The town and ways going underneath the town of Los Gatos.
And I don't know, we'd have to check with the town, but just looking at the agreement that they have, it's between the town and this organization, Sustainable Ways, that happens to be formed by a resident of Los Gatos. So.
Yeah, because the city can't give money to individual, basically. If we're giving it to the town of Los Gatos, or we're giving it to Sustainable Ways, if it's not a non-profit 501c3, I think we have an issue with that. But it's not, we're not talking about a lot of money, so it's $1,000, it's $1,000.
And you can give money to others than a 501c3, so long as there's a public benefit. So if you can determine that there's a public benefit to providing money to a public benefit corporation or any other organization, as long as there's a public benefit, you can do that.
Sounds good. So to wrap this up, I would suggest we increase that to the sustainable ways to 1,000. Keep AWO at 3,000. And then the other numbers are, as council member Jack pointed out. And
Okay, so sustainable ways rather than 500, it's 1,000, and AWO is 3,000, not 3,500.
Great. So I'll take a motion on that. If you're ready.
I'll make a motion. And for the numbers as set out previously.
There's a second.
I'll second it.
All right, let's call a vote. You guys know what we're voting on? Diana has all the numbers, except there's only one that changed, or two that changed, right? The WA number was reduced to 3,000 and the Waze number went up to 1,000. Let's call a vote.
Yes, Councilmember Makachuk.
Aye.
Well, you can, it doesn't have to be a roll call. You
Oh.
guys can take-
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion
No,
carries.
that was carried. Thank you so much again. Really, I hope you guys are not discouraged. It's a terrific job, as you can see, to do it, and you guys are all doing great work, and please come back again next year. Maybe we'll have more money. We just have to raise some taxes.
I would invite everyone to the picnic to have a table or, say, hey, we've. Okay.
Yeah, and just thank you so much to all of you who came to speak, and it's not easy to have this discussion because, I'm sure we all wish we had, $10,000 to give to every organization, so. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We know money's tight this year,
Yeah.
so thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Let me get the mayor back. Very nice.
I'll have these out in the next year.
Yeah, definitely. Good discussion, guys.
Something to start from, so that was the way that I mentioned.
We should.
First, because you missed so much of the meeting last time, is our clawback for part of the mayor's salary for this meeting?
Yes, I'll take a percentage.
All right.
I was working hard. We tell you.
Just calling the meeting back. Mayor Craig is back up, so I will hand this back over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for handling. Item number 7. So that will then bring us back to the top of the agenda. And we will go to the consent calendar. And we have items 1, 2, 3, and 4 to take care of. Would anybody like to pull any items from the consent calendar?
I'd like to pull item number 3, please.
Item number 3. Okay. And would any members of the public like to pull an item or comment on any items in the consent calendar? Would anybody online like to do so? Do we have anybody online?
We do, but no hands are raised.
No hands are raised, so at this point, I will take a motion to approve items 1, 2, and 4 on the consent calendar.
So moved.
1, 2, and 4, just where does the warrant list?
Number two.
Number 2,
You wanna pull that?
I don't, I'm not.
so you want to vote on it separately?
Yes.
Okay, so let's vote on items 1 and 4. All in favor, say aye. Wait, do we need a separate motion for that?
And
Okay, so let's have a separate item for,
Yes. Move to adopt number 1 and 4 from the consent calendar.
great. We already took public comment too.
Yeah, and then we need a second. Someone second this?
I'll second it.
Okay, and can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Councilmember Makachuk,
Aye.
Councilmember Shannon,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lahi,
Aye.
and Mayor Craig.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Okay, so then that brings us back to item number 3, consideration
Number 2.
number,
Let's just do number 2 first.
oh, yeah, let's do number 2 first.
Move to approve that.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Shannon,
Yes.
Councilmember Makachuk,
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Lahi,
Yes.
Mayor Craig.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1.
Okay, now that brings us to item number 3. Consider the approval of an updated fee schedule for user and regulatory fees. Do you have a particular question or do we need a staff report on this?
Mostly I just wanted to pull it to have just a little bit of a discussion about the fee schedule. I read through everything and took a look at everything on this, and it looks like, just to kind of reiterate what you guys probably already know, that we had a fee schedule done in 2018. And at that time, council decided to not necessarily take the exact fee calculation that was calculated by whoever did the fee schedule. And that since that time, council in general has just been upping the fees based upon CPI every year. And I just wanted to bring it to council to discuss a little bit about what is our plan for doing a fee schedule again. And also I would want to consider not upping it by CPI this year, but upping it by the 4%. Which is equivalent to what our increase in salaries are for, per our contract, I guess, with the union. Because the CPI was, please remind me, Diana, was like 2.4 or something? Yeah, 2.4%. And I don't know that it's enough. So I'd like to propose that we increase it to 4%. And I also would like to propose that we do at least a 4% increase for the business license fees, which have not moved since 2018.
Okay, so for the city attorney, are these kind of changes that can be made? Or do we need to have this as a separate agenda item?
So let me talk about the business license first. The business license was adopted Prop 218, so that was done legislatively. Since that time, a business license tax is a tax and it requires a voter approval. So the only way we can change that is if we take it to the voters of the city. So that one we can't touch. The others, the report that was done in 2018 includes a CPI adjustment going forward, correct?
So I believe the actual report from the consultant did not specify, a CPI increase annually. It just looked at the costs, to provide the services at that time. But the resolution that was adopted by council at that time included a, direction to staff to increase the, fees annually by the CPI.
So that's why the CPI adjustment is something that staff is recommending. If the council wants to look at increasing the rates beyond the CPI adjustment, we really need to go back and look at the fee study first. The fee study was done 7 years ago, based on criteria that is probably different today. So if we want to look at doing anything more than the CPI, we need to conduct another study.
Okay, and do we have a ballpark figure of how much a new fee study would cost?
I would guess. Yes, off the top of my head, I think it would probably cost at least $15,000 to $20,000 for a consultant.
That's about what I remember the last one going for.
Then it's probably more. That was the last one in 2018. It is also a significant staff effort to provide the consultant with information that they need. So that is a factor in our situation.
Okay.
Just to clarify, so that fee study, so the city is able to charge fees to recover its costs. We can't charge anything more than our cost recovery. And so that study looks at what are the costs, the hard costs, the soft costs, all of that for each particular fee. So you're gonna go look back historically and how much staff time does it take generally to do a building permit issuance or a use permit, something like that. So that's the staff time that is somewhat tedious.
Yes, Councilmember Manchuk.
So as part of the Tyler ERP Pro implementation that's underway, it will provide information on how staff are spending their time. It'll provide costs by department. It'll provide all of the information that is in the quote fee study. And when I think of the quote fee study, I think that's just, I'm sorry, it's so done so trivially for $20,000 or whatever the number. I don't think it's worth the effort or the money, but we should have that information coming out of Tyler, and I believe, and I would put forth that we should revisit this once we have Tyler implemented and we're starting to know what our baseline numbers are. And if one alternative I would put forth is that we could say, okay, let's raise the fees by the CPI, which we've been doing, but also as Councilmember Shannon identified, if we haven't changed something since 2018, maybe we just put a 4 or 5% increase in there and with some rounding. Except for the business licenses. Are there any other items that we're not raising our fees that we are forbidden
So the
from raising?
business license you are forbidden from.
Right, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean,
No. But are you proposing that you would increase it by more than the CPI tonight?
That's what we're discussing, I think.
no, let me repeat. I think that for those fees that we increase annually by the CPI, we continue to do that this year at this point in time by 2.8%. If that's what the number is. That for the items that have not been increased since 2018, that are except for the business license, we increase those by, pick a number, 4% or 5%, which is not, I don't believe is unreasonable. And then, once we have Tyler implemented and we've got some baseline, then we revisit this again. Because that's one of the benefits of Tyler.
So I'll ask our city manager, are there any of those type of items that Councilmember Manchuk just described?
I think Lisa went through them. Maybe.
So there are 3 fees, planning fees that, as part of the adoption of the updated fee schedule in 2018, after the study was completed, that council had directed at that time to set those fees at a certain amount. And so that is for an appeal of a planning application. for a significant tree removal permit and for a use permit for animals. So those fees were set at a certain amount in 2018, and based on that direction have not been increased since. The planning appeal and the use permit for animals are not common projects, but the tree removal permit is.
Okay, Councilmember Shannon, do you have any other fees that you were looking at?
What about, on this other administrative fees? These are small things, but like the printed materials and maps and I guess just printed materials and maps. And then another small thing, which we don't need to address it tonight, but I'll just mention it, is the return check processing fee. We should at least be charging what the bank would charge us. But I think the printed materials and maps, have those changed at all over the years, or did they stay at the 2018 rate?
They have stayed at the 20, well, I take it back, those are increasing. You can see that the, under the printed materials, item C.
Yeah, I saw that.
That has gone up, because we try to keep these rounded off. Every year you don't see an increase because the 2.4% doesn't push it to the next dollar. And these documents are all online now, so we really don't have a demand for printed copies.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, when I started this conversation, I was looking to increase the fees by the 4%, which it sounds like perhaps we cannot do that. Just the city attorney's nodding yes. So more so, I just wanted to bring in this whole fee schedule to the attention of the council so that we can further address this. Maybe next year. I agree with Councilmember Makachak that this time next year we'll have so much more data to do maybe another fee study. But I just don't want to see this get sort of year over year kicked down the road with the same, just CPI. So that was my purpose in bringing this to light. However, I do have one question, because I noticed this just tonight before I came over here. There is one item that I think might be having error. Do you have it open on your screen? I do. Item number 7, environmental review. Item B1. On the original 2018 study, it shows a charge of like $388. But then on this new study, it shows like $3,837. So I don't know if I think that's somehow an error. So staff could just address that and fix that and just, yeah. Having said all that, then I don't have any motion, proposed motion or anything regarding the fee study, any change to the fee.
Okay.
Proposed fee study.
So the only thing that I would also bring up is, and I think, again, this would be at a future discussion when we look at the fee schedule in general, but we never did go for 100% cost recovery.
Right.
And do we ever want to try to up our cost recovery level, especially as our budget is getting tighter and tighter? So I guess I just throw that out there, but we're not going to discuss that today. So.
And I think there's always this balance of that if someone has a project, a building project, they should pay for the cost that staff has to spend doing that, but at the same time, we don't want to make it so cost prohibitive that people can't build anything here. I think it's a balance.
Yes.
Well, also, I think that there's unpermitted work that's done in the city of Monte Sereno, although we may not like it. Yeah, I know, it happens, and so there's a balance between what the fees are when someone says, I'm not paying that fee, I'm just gonna do it myself. You know, so, and when you sell real estate, you have to do a disclosure, so you would do unpermitted, you would disclose your unpermitted work, but no one sees that. Right, so it's, anyways, I think there's a balance there. And then certain things we don't wanna charge fees for, like if getting rid of trees that are nuisance trees.
Right, solar panels.
Yeah.
I think we really knocked that down too. when we did this back in 2018. So I just wanted to throw that out since we were kind of discussing the fee schedule. But to kind of move things along, do we want to make a motion to approve this item tonight, and with the stipulation that we're going to be revisiting this sooner rather than later, especially once we get Tyler up and running and data coming out of that thing and analyzing being done on it. And run that thing through ChatGPT and it will come back and say.
I'm thinking Gemini because Gemini is better than Chat.
Okay.
But
We'll do that one.
if someone was to make a motion, then I'd second it.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept and adopt the draft resolution to update the fee schedule for user and regulatory fees. With the one exception that staff is gonna look at the item that I noted and make a correction if there's an error.
Second. Okay, and we need a roll call vote on this one, so can we have it, please?
Councilmember Shannon,
Yes.
Councilmember Makachuk,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lahi,
Aye.
and Mayor Craig.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so that takes care of the consent calendar and brings us to item number 5, which is to accept a report on the status of the city's vacancies, recruitment and retention efforts pursuant to Assembly Bill 2561. I think Diana's got an excellent staff report for us on this.
Thank you. Effective January 1st of this year, Assembly Bill 2561 added regulations to the state laws that govern collective bargaining and labor relations at the local government level. The purpose of AB 2561 is to address concerns over staffing shortages in public agencies, which can lead to increased workloads, employee burnout, low morale, and a reduced service. The new law requires that public agencies hold at least one public hearing each fiscal year before the adoption of their budget to report on the staffing vacancy levels, evaluate hiring and retention efforts, and allow for participation by recognized bargaining groups. Monte Sereno does have one bargaining group, the Association of City Employees. The association was informed of this report and the requirements of the state legislation, and were notified of the meeting and invited to participate and provide any comments in the meeting tonight as they saw fit. Although we haven't received any comments from the association regarding the report and the information that is required. So the written staff report does include the details of our current staff vacancies, our recruitment activities, and planned employee retention strategies. So that completes this report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff regarding this item? Okay, at this point, I'd like to open it up for public comments.
No hands are raised.
No hands are raised online. So then I'd like to bring it back to council, and would anybody like to make a motion? Okay, do we have a second? Second. Alrighty, all in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Great. So that brings us to item number 8, which is filling a vacant council seat, right there. Although there's a jacket in it, so I think somebody's already making a play for it. The warm? Keeping it warm. So
Thank you again.
I'll let you go off with the staff report.
On May 12th of this year, Councilmember Wolsheimer officially resigned from the city council. And this has resulted in a vacancy of his council seat, which has a term remaining through December of 2026. In accordance with the California Government Code, the city must fill the vacancy either by a special election or an appointment within 60 days of the resignation, and that would be July 11th, 2025. If a special election were called for, it would be on November 5th of this year, and the county registrar of voters has estimated the special election cost would be at least $50,000. Another option for the council is to fill the vacancy through an appointment. And the appointment could either be a direct appointment where the council votes to fill the seat without any form of an application or interview process. And the other appointment option would be to establish an application and an interview process. And then appoint a resident to fill the seat after that. On the staff report, if this last option of an appointment through an application and interview process is selected, the staff report does include a draft schedule for the applications as well as the interviews. And also attached to the staff report is an actual draft application for council to consider if that's the route that's chosen. So that concludes the staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff? Yes, Councilmember mentioned.
So this is a question for our city attorney. If we call for applications, can we then say we've received these applications, but we're going to appoint this person without going through the full interview process? So it's kind of a mix of those two alternatives that we're given. Is it an either or, the direct appointment versus application and interview process?
So you do have the discretion to handle the process however you choose. But I think for purposes of disclosure to the public, you would want to let them know what the process is going to be. So, it is up to you. You could get 4 applications and look at one that rises to the top and decide that you're going to make that appointment. I think staff anticipates there will be questions asked by applicants about what's the process, what will you be doing? And that just may create some confusion, but it isn't prohibited.
Okay. That was my question.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to let members of the public know, in the past, we've usually gone with option number 3, which is to have an application where we will then bring in the applicants and conduct an interview with them, generally during a special meeting. And so that's how option 3 will work, correct? And would anybody like to propose option 1, option 2, option 3?
Okay, can we continue with some questions? That's it.
Oh, sure, let's go back to question.
Yeah, so you had a sample of previous questions we sent out to staff, to the interviewers or the applicants, I guess. And the questions you have here are limited, they're not as extensive as the previous ones. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that or not, but one question I would like to add on it is to ask directly, the applicant directly, if they have any, if they see any conflict between what they may need to do and what the city may do. For example, if the houses within an area where the city may be doing some permitting or modeling and they have a serious concern with that. So it's basically a question designed to elicit any conflict of interest they might have in the future.
So in the past, there have been two sets of questions. There's the questions that are on the application that each applicant would complete. And then there's questions that were asked during the interview process. Those, at least in 2019, the last time this complete process was followed, the interview questions were determined by the mayor and staff and weren't public because you didn't want to give an advantage to everyone. But that question regarding the conflict, would you like to see it as an interview question or on the application?
Just kind of playing devil's advocate, how would an applicant fill that out? They would have to come to the city and find out if there's any projects going on.
But if they know, I mean, if they're gonna
They know.
already build, yeah, it's obviously based on the knowledge.
And then we could come up with some kind of a hypothetical of, if there was an issue pending before the council that you were opposed to, but it was something that was required by the city to do, how would you handle that situation?
Yeah.
Or you can do a protocol, but I'd like to have an actual, so do they actually have something that they can foresee that's gonna happen right now? What would cause a conflict between them and the city? It may require approval of the city that they have to recuse themselves and work on it, of course.
Can we submit questions to staff that we'd like to see on the application, or? Are we only can do it right now if we haven't, so we don't have it? So I can send.
So on the application,
I don't think we're voting on the actual application form though, right?
I think we are, because we're planning on, if you decide to go this route, we're planning on having it go live tomorrow.
Right, but do we have to approve the actual questions, or can we just say staff has proposed putting on an application and whatever questions that they feel should be on the application
So they
along
could
with
do
what we
that,
know
they,
today?
yeah, they would not be able to put on questions that were, proposed and supported by a majority of the council unless it happened at this council meeting.
Okay. All right, so I guess this is when we then choose what questions go on the application. And so we've heard from Councilmember Alahi. And Councilmember Shannon, you want to offer a suggested question?
No, thank you. I just wanted a little more time to think about it, but it sounds like that is not possible. So if there's any questions that I want to ask, I can ask it in the interview process.
Okay. Oh, yes, Councilmember, you were kind of sounding like you.
I just wanted to expand the number of questions that are there, because you picked a few. But if there are other questions that we've asked the previous applicants that are not on here, maybe we need to look at some of those and see if we can put those in there. Yeah, if it is appropriate to put them in here. Guess we should look at those questions.
So if you look at the handout that was provided, there was a kind of a summary of the 3 vacancies that the city has had in the last 10 years and how those were handled. The 2020 did not, because it was so close to the election, the council decided not to fill the seat, so nothing happened there. We've provided you with the 2019 application, so you have those questions. The 2015,
We were
been
able to find
unable
a
to
copy
locate that.
to locate that, but the 6 questions on the application that was used in 2019 are included in the draft application, as well as the draft application has 2 additional questions.
Sounds good, and you can add a conflict question.
And then the conflict that was,
All right.
if that's the vote.
I'm looking at the 3 and 10 years. And at the very bottom, the last line, it says November 5, 2019. That should be 2020, correct?
Yes.
And on that 2020 vacancy, I believe that you may want to note, or council should know, that Dan LeBouvet, even though he had resigned, his name was in fact on the ballot in 2020.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's time for comments. Or do you want to comment now, or do you want to take public
Yeah,
comment?
let's take public comment and then we'll, okay, so at this point, let's open it up for public comment. Anybody in the chamber wishing to speak, anybody online? Seeing none, I will bring it back to council, and Councilmember Meckchuck will let you start off.
I think filling a vacant seat is very important. I would advocate filling the vacant seat by an application process, but if there would be someone that would be well qualified, I could see maybe not going through the full process. But having watched what happened years ago in 2019, that was not a good scene. It was expensive for the city of Monte Sereno. We suffered litigation as a result of applicants that had not, or placing an applicant and not going through an election. I also think that what we need to do is to train people that want to be on city council, and I think I've mentioned this to council before, saying, let's partner up with the town of Los Gatos and have leadership and buy a seat or two for leadership Los Gatos. We talked about that, and I also have made some inquiries and said to people, you know, if there's a position open, would you be interested in applying for it? And predominantly, the question is how much time is it gonna take? It's not a function of, you know, how much do I get paid? It's like, how much time does it take? Because we live in an expensive town and people, as we all know, are very busy and focused. And at some point, though, we need to get another group onto council. I mean, we need to involve another, for lack of a better term, not a generation, but people that are in their 50s, not in their 60s. I mean, I'm 64, so it's, and I think that people really have to want to be involved in public service. And it's, as we know, it's hard. And, but somehow we need to expand we need more community involvement, as you had said before, Mayor Craig. So I think this is very important for us. And I would support soliciting applications, and if in terms of the questions that are asked, you can ask whichever ones you wish, knowing that as part of the interview process, we could ask other questions. So yeah, I can't spend a whole bunch of time overthinking that one. And maybe there should be an open section that says, are there any other comments you would like to add, right? It's that catch-all. Sure.
I think in the 2019, they required the application and a letter of interest. Maybe that's similar to that.
Yeah, perfect. I know that, for example, with Silicon Valley Clean Energy, you have to put in a letter of interest if you wanted to apply for a leadership role.
So I didn't totally understand what you were talking about in 2019. What happened was an application process, and yet the application process did not go well.
I am gonna choose my words carefully. There was an applicant that basically didn't like what was happening in his backyard, got onto council, and then created a number of issues. And then also there was a Brown Act violation, or the threat of a Brown Act violation. And that involved several council members, obviously. And we had to settle that for I think, $50,000. I mean, you look at how much time we went through for $25,000 today. I mean, you burn through 50,000 in a heartbeat. And
So that sounds like it was a unique situation, that it's not something that we should be concerned of something like that happening again. I would hope.
hope it's not a strategy. But
If we ask the right questions, maybe. With their motivations.
I mean, I could see someone being a well-qualified applicant that would say, you know what, I'm interested in serving until the next election, but I don't intend on running in the next election. If it was someone that was involved in council in the past. And I think that would be a good thing. So, because who wants to, run against an incumbent? Right, there's one school of thought that says if there's two incumbents running, who's gonna spend the time and effort to get, you know, to run for election and then not get elected because people will vote for incumbents. You know, so if we were to, I'm playing two steps down the chessboard.
I think whatever happened previously, it was the interview process went fine, the person passed with flying colors, but we couldn't read what else was going on. We just have to be careful, that's why I asked for the conflict of interest question, that might have helped us a little bit. At this point, I think, yeah, we should go forward with the application and interview process like we've done before. And we also have a bit more cohesive council right now, so I think we'll do better. At agreeing on the right person, for the thing, hopefully. But as long as we all don't have our own secret agenda for why we pick somebody.
And then staff laid out the dates when things would happen. Does the council have a conflict with their the dates?
I will not be here on the 30th of June. I've got something that's not movable, but I could appear remotely.
Honestly, I haven't looked at my own calendar to see.
Can you go through the dates again? Is there a reason why you have to do a special meeting for that, not just leaving on the, well, we're not here in July, that's right. And you need to get the appointment done before.
July 11th.
We need to appoint somebody for July 11th, so we have to meet before July 11th. There's also a time period within which to have the election. The application sent out.
Right.
And that's where all the.
So that's part, and then the holiday kind of throws it off as well. July 4th holiday.
Okay, so the dates that we were gonna do the final selection date, that was, what day was that?
30th.
And you're not gonna be able to do 30th? Is that your?
I will not be here physically in these chambers.
You can be on Zoom though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm available on 30th.
I am.
Are you here on the 27th?
27th, yes.
27th is fine for me.
I believe that Carl Gardino has everyone running on the 28th, Stars and Stripes. Or walking or whatever,
So
so
that could be a question. Are you doing that? Yeah, 27th is good for me also.
It's a Friday, the 27th?
So, what time would you like to do?
Is there a chance we could do it in the afternoon? I'm supposed to take my son to the airport as I go that night, but. It is.
I was also going to say, a Friday, because it's probably going to be in the evening, I think it's a little tough to ask people to give up on Friday evening, but only if they want to be a council member, I guess it's worth it, but I'm just thinking of other people. It's an open meeting, correct?
Yes.
So if other people wanted to attend, they may not appreciate the fact that it's stuck it on a Friday evening.
Maybe it earlier Friday, like 5 PM or 4:30 or something. Or even,
Or 3.
3
Yes.
That'd be a hard.
if there was an applicant that was not physically going to be here on that day, could they attend by Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So
the 36 on that.
Okay.
And then just one note, to make, if the applications are, opened tomorrow and then due on the 25th, which would allow for 3 weeks, we would get the, staff report to council, as early as possible on Thursday, the 26th. So it'll just be a short amount of time for a council to be able to have the applications before the meeting, so just a suggestion to
Is it
perhaps
possible
reserve
to,
sometime Thursday.
is it possible to receive the applications as they come in, or must they be given to us as one package?
We could do it as they come in.
That just gives us more time to at least be able to review each one.
But you have to.
Is that a half that?
I would think that based on history, we'll know the people that are interested because they will have been involved in the community. I don't think someone's gonna come out of, you know, thin air, for lack of a better term.
But this allows enough notice to the applicant? We have to give them 20 days notice or 30 days notice?
We don't have to, I mean, it's whatever amount you think is reasonable. We think staff thought
But as
3 weeks
part
would
of
be-
the application that presumably will be published tomorrow, we will fill in the date of the interview
The
meeting. So, and the interview meeting, so that they'll know when that meeting is.
Fair, you give them till what, the 20th or something, or what? Or the 15th?
So tomorrow, so if we publish the application tomorrow, the fourth, it would be the 25th. Wednesday, the 25th is the proposed deadline, which is 3 weeks. But the application, of course, will include the deadline, but will also inform applicants of the date of the meeting for the interviews. As you decide tonight.
The deadline says it should be submitted and with you by 5 p.m. on the 25th or whatever.
That is correct.
All right, sounds good, if you guys can do it.
So I have a question probably for the city attorney about, so people coming out of the woodwork, I was thinking about reaching out to some people that I know to see if they'd be interested in applying. If I reach out to somebody and ask them to consider it and they do apply, do I have to in any way recuse myself? Because, no.
So it's similar to the community grants, as long as they're not a source of income to you, you don't have a technical legal conflict. The only question would be, are you able to be unbiased in your decision making?
Okay.
So if it was your best friend or, you know, a close connection, you might have to think about, can I judge all of the applicants equally, given my relationship?
I understand. Thank you.
Another option or factor that council may want to consider is if we do publish the applications. We could do a shorter deadline than the 3 weeks. So if council thinks 2 weeks is sufficient, then that might give some more opportunity for the interview meeting. With keeping in mind, we do have a special meeting with the Site and Architectural Commission on Tuesday, the 24th at 7 p.m.
I would put forth that sometimes work fills the time available. So if you give someone 3 weeks, they're gonna spend 3 weeks. If you give them 2 weeks, they're gonna spend 2 weeks. And sometimes having an application, Monday isn't a great day to have an application deadline, because then you have to, people work the weekend. Yeah, anyway. I don't think we need 3 weeks. How's that? That's my.
I was just going to say that also, I think we should close the application period on June 20th. That's a Friday.
Friday.
Right, okay.
That should give them plenty of time. And I take it we're going to do an email blast announcing that the application period is open. I don't know, maybe it's worthwhile to reach out to the Loscat and see if they want to put an article in the paper.
Great idea. And so if it's a shortened,
And maybe put, I'm sorry, and then maybe put a little post on our homepage. And I think that's enough public notice that if somebody said, oh, I didn't know about it, well, then you wouldn't have been a good council member. You don't pay attention to what's going on in your community.
and so when would the meeting be then? Still on Friday, the 27th? Are we looking at moving that meeting date up, the interview date?
I'd like to see it moved up to either the 25th or 26th.
When the 24th is the joint site arc.
At 7 p.m., yes.
I just have to look at mine.
I can't do the 25th or the 26th. I could do Monday, the 23rd.
I could do the 23rd.
I can't do the 20. Yeah. Sorry, could you do the 26th?
I cannot,
You can't.
I'm gone all day.
If everybody can do Friday, 3 p.m., 27th. Let's stick with that. Okay. Friday, 3 p.m.
Yep.
27th.
Okay, I'm good with that. Yeah.
3 p.m.
Happy Friday.
It gives us a whole week to look at the applications and everything else. And
Yeah, in which case there'd be no need to submit them, I think, to us as they come in, because we'd have plenty of time to review whatever comes. Does everybody agree?
Is this a background check we need to do on the applicant at all? Are
No, so remember, if people get elected and
there's no background?
there's no questions, there's no. Then it is. They do have to be a registered voter, so we will verify that they are registered voters and residents, obviously, of the city.
Says that you can verify that, yeah. Okay. Just out of covering all of our bases and looking at all of the edge cases we've had in the past. Should we say you have to be living in a house in Monte Sereno, not building a house in Monte Sereno?
Well, it's not us, it's the government code that says what it says, so.
Okay, so
So
it's pretty,
being a resident is a defined term, and so we have had instances in the past where it's become an issue, but we will check all the applicants.
okay,
But then it also gets down to the council voting on who the successful applicant is going to be. So if someone isn't living here in a house, then you can determine yourself whether that affects your decision, whether they should be sitting at the dais or not.
no, I'm just saying people have been appointed and then after the fact. It was discovered that, well, yeah, they own a house, but they're building a house and living in another city. And we had to call them up and say, yeah, guess what? You actually can't be, this was for a commissioner spot, but. Okay, good. I just didn't wanna have any uncomfortable situations or anything.
I know a youth commissioner that wasn't living in the city, that wasn't able to
I
be.
know one of those too. Does the application have a place on it, asking how long they lived in Montana?
Thanks. So.
If it doesn't, then we can just add that.
Yeah, it says length of residency,
Yeah.
I saw, you know,
Alright,
at least on this old one, which I think is a template for the new one.
Yeah, that's good. All right,
That direction.
One other question regarding the interview process. Would council like to provide direction for staff to work with the mayor on selecting the voting and the interview questions or something else?
Can we submit questions to city attorney, or no,
So what you could do is you could say each council member gets to submit one question. And then we would use all of your questions. If they were duplicates, we could go through them, but we can't.
you can filter them.
We can filter.
I'm confused by that, we don't get to just ask them questions when they come.
You'd have a list of questions, so each applicant is being asked the same questions.
Okay.
You could do a follow-up related to their response, but you would have a set list of questions.
yeah, so you'd start with the same question and then if it was viable, you could. Kind of trend off of it a little bit if you had to.
I thought it would be more conversational, and that it's a little rigid, okay, yeah.
Is that a legislative requirement?
requirement, yeah.
I had the same problem last time, but.
Yeah.
Can we add the vice mayor to the question list or submission list? The mayor and the vice mayor together will do that.
Oh,
Sure. I thought we were gonna do all of them, like we could all submit a question, isn't that what you said?
you guys, however the council decides to do it, you could each come up with a question, you could authorize the
that's-
mayor and the vice mayor.
So both of you were on the 2019.
No, he was not. I was not
Oh,
here.
you were not there, that's right. that's
It was
right.
just me all by myself.
But were you, Mayor Burton, were you, or Mayor Craig, were you on the 2019 or the 2015?
Yeah, he was there for that. That's when Everett got appointed. from planning commission, we have councilman. They did a good job.
Okay, so you've been, not your first rodeo,
Yeah, not my, no.
okay?
Then in 2015, there was only one applicant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was pretty easy.
But we were prepared for questions. That we can't find.
It was obviously great though. Worked out very well.
You could look a long time for that.
No, 2015 was easy because I was on the council voting for him too.
All right, I don't think we need any motions or votes or anything else then.
I think we need clarity on the question, the interview questions, not the application questions, we've got those figured out, it's just the, how do you wanna handle coming up with.
So all of the council will submit questions to the city manager. And why don't we start off with each of us, since I think we have a very good understanding of what kind of questions we want to ask. Why doesn't everybody send 2 questions, and that will make sure we don't have any duplicates. Or we'll be able to filter out the duplicates and still get a good pool of questions.
2, I like that.
So we have like 8 questions and everybody can answer. Yeah, if they're all unique.
When do you want those questions by?
Can we get them by next week to the city manager? Sure. Okay.
Or also time available.
And your second question shouldn't be the same as the first question.
Well, the second question is, why didn't you answer my first question?
All right, so let's move on to committee and commission reports. And we'll start on the left side this time. Member McIntyre.
Okay, I wrote a couple of notes down here, bear with me just for a moment. BTA, nothing to report, stormwater, nothing to report. West Valley Solid Waste Management Authority, nothing to report. SVCE, job that's gonna attend on my behalf because I'm gonna be away, next week. At the board, I'll be in South America. Santa Clara County Recycling and Waste Reduction Commission. We had our meeting today and we have another meeting on the 25th of June. And I am now the chair of the Santa Clara County Recycling and Waste Reduction.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was, anyways, I think that there's some opportunities there to make some improvements with our recycling and waste reduction, especially as SB 1383 comes into full effect. There's lots going on. That's my report.
Okay, Councilmember Lucky.
I guess I'm now on the Silicon Valley Animal Thing as an alternate. Right, I'm
Correct.
there. Right,
So you are the-
was I always an alternate or
Yeah.
just became an alternate?
No, you were an alternate when the discussion occurred.
Okay. All right, and then I guess I'll attend that. I don't have anything else to report. I just wanted to get clarification. And I don't know if you needed to formally appoint me as an alternate or I was already previously appointed.
You were previously appointed, and I
Yeah.
believe, for the other ones, we have, Councilmember Shannon, and we also have, Mayor Craig, but I'm actually still working on getting in connection with, someone in both the Association of the Bay Area Governments and the League of the California Cities to provide them that information. They've been a little bit hard to connect with.
And Silicon Valley Clean Energy, I'm also an alternate on that. I think you were. That was already formalized. She didn't know about it.
She was earlier, yeah.
But that's okay, good work. You did a good job.
Councilmember Shannon.
I don't have anything to report. I haven't had any meetings. West Valley Sanitation District meets next Wednesday, so at our next council meeting, I'll have something to report.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments from council members?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought there was a good article in the Lascautin, with our new city manager. And I was pleased with the number of quotes that were in there. Everyone was quoted. There were hard copies here, and I think I put one in your mailbox.
Oh, thank you.
And I believe there's gonna be something coming out in the Los Gatos Weekly Times, this week coming up. Friday and maybe in the Sunday edition as well. Okay. So I just wanted to.
Would you like to give any update on the Tyler process?
Sure, do you wanna?
Well, I thought maybe you would want to, but just so you know, we're moving right along. We've done some of the training sessions that are required before they would give us a project manager. A project manager has been assigned now. And that manager has reached out to the principal people involved, and we're moving on to the next steps. So it is happening all in the background still right now.
Okay. Sorry. go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was just gonna ask, do you guys have to push Tyler to respond, or are they doing it on their own?
Well,
And you have to stay on top of it.
so. It was interesting to understand their process, but they do this training virtually, and we were in different sessions and one in common. And it's, they're virtual, and in one, you had to interact with them, and you're using your software, their software, and you're moving your mouse around, and they're saying, the instructor's like, oh, you're doing the wrong thing. Like, it's pretty hands-on. And, you have to go through these instructor-led training before you can do the self-study. And I was a little resistant to that, but I understand their process now, and we're gonna have this project manager coming on. But the other thing that's going to be interesting is that they create a process for you, like your own. They'll say, here's what the software can do, and this is what leading practices are. This is the way your approval process should go. This is the way, you know, your checks and balances should be, which is. I'm very looking forward to it and very excited, very positive.
Great. So from the city, who's learning that? You on board getting that training, or?
Yes, myself and our consulting accountant.
Would it be difficult for when we get a proper employee accountant to also be trained at that time?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. City manager report?
Thank you. I did have just two items to note. First is the pavement management project that council approved, I believe it was just last month. For pavement improvements on West Ellenwood and Twin Creeks, as well as safety and signage and striking improvements at the Days Avenue S curve is just about complete. Tomorrow, the contractor will be putting a few last details at the S curve, but the other work is complete, and our consulting city engineer will be inspecting, doing a final inspection on everything tomorrow. You know, to verify that it's all compliant, but that work is pretty much done. Also, I wanted to let council know that last week I did meet with the Los Gatos town manager, their assistant town manager, and their new emergency coordinator. And Los Gatos we will be working with Los Gatos to put together an agreement for some support services for emergency management operations. Since we, due to our small staffing, would need some help in the event of an emergency, operating what is an emergency operations center, which would be established. Additionally, regarding an emergency operations center that would be established in the event of a declared emergency, Los Gatos is offering some training, several different trainings throughout the current month to their staff, and they did ask us if we wanted to participate. So different staff members are going to different trainings throughout this month for that. And I will be there all day tomorrow. And then Thursday, I will be at a board meeting for our insurance JPA. But I certainly could be reached by email or cell phone if anything is needed during that time.
All right, thanks very much. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting. Yes,
Question of the manager.
Yes,
about her report.
sure.
Didn't something come up about our insurance, that we have like a really low deductible or something? Did you
So-
find out about that?
Yes, one thing that we will be looking into is a comprehensive review of our insurance. So what our deductible level should be, what, there's some coverage options that we don't currently have, whether or not we want to get those additional coverages. Also, we have our workers' compensation insurance through the state. And it is offered through our JPA, so we can look at the coverages and cost comparisons for that. So that is a comprehensive review of the insurance we'll be bringing to council during this fiscal year, before premiums are due for next year, to make these decisions.
All right, thank you. And before we adjourned, I did not do future agenda items, but okay, then I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you back on June the 17th.